Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Students World of Griju and subscribe my channel for more videos and like this video. BA First Sem Optional English Unit 2 Seeds and Roots of British Literature Puritan Prose and Poetry Part 6 Puritan Prose and Poetry Puritan prose and poetry emerged during the 17th century, reflecting the Puritan movement's deep religious beliefs. The Puritans were a group of English Protestants who sought the purified Church of England from its Catholic Protestants. Their literature was deeply influenced by their faith, often focusing on themes like the relationship between humans and God, morality, and spiritual struggles. The period saw major contributions from writers like John Milton and John Byron in prose and Anne Bradstreet in poetry. Puritan poetry. Puritan poetry was deeply rooted in religious themes and often focused on personal relationships with God. Poets wrote about their spiritual experiences, the challenges of maintaining faith, and their constant search for solution. Their poetry lacked the ornate, decorative style of earlier periods, focusing instead on simplicity, clarity, and distinctness to convey religious devotion. One of the most well-known Puritan poets was Anne Bradstreet, who was also one of the first poets in America. In her poetry, Bradstreet explored themes of faith, family, and personal struggle. Her poem Upon a Burning of Our House reflects her Puritan beliefs in accepting God's will. Despite losing all the positions in a fire, Bradstreet expresses her trust in God's divine plan, saying material loses a insignificant in comparison to the spiritual riches of heaven. Her poetry reveals the Puritan view the earthly life is temporary, while eternal life with God is the true goal. Another important Puritan poet was Edward Tyler, whose preparatory meditations explored his personal relationship with God. Tyler's poems were private expressions of his faith, written to prepare himself for purchasing. His writing often used metaphors and vivid imagery to express spiritual truths such as comparing God's grace to a flowing river or his soul to broken vessel in a need or repair. His poetry reflected a Puritan emphasis on introspection and personal devotion. Puritan prose. Puritan prose was often didactic, meaning it was written to instruct or teach, especially on moral and religious topics. Writers used prose to explore spiritual matters, guided readers on how to live a God Christian life and reflect on the human condition from a religious perspective. One of the most significant figures in Puritan prose was John Byron, the author of the Pilgrim Progress. This work is an allegory, which means it uses a symbolic characters and events to represent moral and spiritual lessons. The Pilgrim Progress tells the story of Christian and everyman character who embarks on a journey from his hometown, the city of destruction, to a celestial city, which represents heaven along the way. Christian faces various trials and temptation, all of which represent the struggles that believers face is in their journey towards solution. The book became one of the most popular works of English literature and was prized for its simple and powerful storytelling and spiritual depth. John Milton, another key figure of Puritan prose, was best known for his epic poem Paradise Lost, but he also contributed significant prose works, especially on political and religious topics. Milton wrote pamphlets supporting religious freedom and the rights of individuals to interact the Bible for themselves. His prose style was often dense and complex, reflecting the intellectual reserve of Puritan writers who believed that literature should serve both God and the greater good of society. Milton's Paradise Lost, through a poem, reflected many of the themes found in Puritan prose. It is an epic that tells the story of Satan's rebellion against God and the fall of man in the Garden of Eden. The poem explores deep theological questions such as the free will, obedience, and the nature of sin. Milton's portrayal of Satan as a tragic figure reflects the complexity of Puritan thought, which recognized a dangers of pride and ambition even as it emphasized the power of individual choice. Conclusion. Puritan prose and poetry were deeply influenced by the religious beliefs at that time, focusing on themes like faith, morality, and the spiritual journey of life. Writers like John Byron, John Milton, Anne Bradstreet, and Edward Tyler used their literary works to explore the relationship between humans and God, as well as the challenges of living a Christian life. Their use of simple language and clear structure, known as the pen style, reflected their belief that literature should instruct and inspire readers to lead more fuse lives. Through their prose and poetry, Puritan writers left a lasting impact on English literature, creating works that continue to resonate with the readers today.